So how are you this morning? So the feedback on having done your homework last week, breathing in a sacred way through predicaments that you were encountering, sounds like maybe it didn't get practiced as much as we had hoped. So this week, do it again. That's right. If you didn't do it, this is your week to try to do it. And if you did do it, this is your week to do it even more. Because you will find that it brings a calmness and peace when you're in those situations that have a tendency to push your buttons. Anybody ever get your buttons pushed? Oh, wow. Let me see those hands. Who gets their buttons pushed? There are some hands that are not up, so I want to talk with you afterwards. Because that is a really unique and special ability to be able to be present with things going on in your life and not allow yourself to be triggered and have those buttons pushed. Because who understands that nobody's pushing the buttons? You're pushing your own buttons,
on
right?
the inside.
Buttons are on the inside.
I'm
We do it
pushing
to
the button
ourselves.
because you're making me aware of it.
Yeah, so this morning we're going to talk about pictures, patterns, and predicaments. And the pictures and the patterns create the predicaments, which oftentimes are what allow us to push our own internal buttons and get triggered by things. Have you discovered that? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So let's start with a scripture from the Old Testament. In Exodus 20, it says, "You shall not make for yourself a carved image or pictures or any likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth. You shall not bow down to them and serve them." In other words, don't give your power to them, right? And how many understand that we create graven, carved images or pictures in our heavens, in our earth, and in our waters, our emotions? We do this. So, we talked last week about breathing, right? This week, let's take that a little step further. You know, meditation is the way that we become aware of the sacred God energy that we are. Do you realize that you are sacred God energy?
Yes.
Boy, this is going to be a tough crowd this morning. They're not very
Well,
responsive.
they're not awake yet.
Oh, that's right.
Give them a little grace
I will
this
give you
morning, yeah.
grace this morning
Yeah.
because that's my favorite word.
All
I
right.
love extending it. So,
All right.
yeah. So by sensing this sacred energy that we are, we're pulled within. The Daily Word talked about the silence. Oh, how many of you have experienced that where you've pulled into that interior silence? Sometimes I just crave silence. And I've often said that one of the best experiences at home is when the power goes out, because that's silence.
Not necessarily.
There's no hum of the appliances and the lights and the things going in the background. It's just silence. And when we can get practiced at doing meditation, we have the opportunity to go into that kind of silence, that kind of internal silence. And so meditation is not, contrary to what some of us believe, a blanking out of the mind. Some of us have thought and been told that, when you go into meditation, you just blank out your mind and you go into a state of bliss and
Angels sing and
right?
clouds part.
Right? And you may eventually get there. But what meditation really is about is paying attention to whatever it is that arises, those pictures that come up, the marching bands that tend to start trotting through, paying attention to them and allowing it to move through without what? Without getting baited by it, right? It's learning to control our thinking and our mind and to stay present with our breath and with our focus. Not letting ourselves get pulled off into tangents, right? Unity is built, we know, the foundation of unity is prayer, right? Well, prayer has an Aramaic meaning that means to set your mind like a trap and wait patiently for the thoughts of God to arise. Can we have that kind of patience? to sit, allow our minds to be set like a trap, and wait for the thoughts of God to drop in. How many ever had Venus flytraps growing up as a kid? Or, yeah, and they're open like this, and they're just waiting. They're just waiting for the fly or whatever that comes by, and once it's there, right? And so our minds are like that. We're just sitting, we're just waiting for those God thoughts. A quiet mind is a useful mind. A disquiet mind does no one any good. Have you discovered that? Yeah, a quiet mind is a useful mind. If your mind is full of the pictures, patterns, and predicaments of your past, you will block the flow of guidance. You'll block the flow in your life. So when you go on your computer and you want to go to a website, you get there like that, don't you, if it's a website you've been to before? How many know why that happens? Who are my techie people? Cookies! When you visit a website, there's a little cookie that's dropped on your computer so that the next time you go to it, you can get there really quick. Well, we are all like computers with cookies that have been dropped from our past. And every time a situation comes up, that little cookie is recalled, and we know exactly how it's going to look and what we're going to do and how we're going to react. We've done this before. We've been there before. Oh, how many know it's important to get rid of those cookies every once in a while, right? We have to clear that stuff out, because what happens is these pictures that we develop over time, if I say right now, all right, everybody close your eyes and picture an ocean. Everyone in here will have a different picture. Some will have a very serene and peaceful, lovely picture, depending on where you're thinking about oceans is at. Some will have a more fearful feeling. If you've had some kind of a predicament with water, there may be a stirring that's unpleasant about that. If you've never been to the ocean, your mind may recall pictures that you've seen in magazines or television. If you've been there, your mind may pick out something that was very special to you or relevant to you. But we have these pictures, and so these pictures come up and they formulate patterns. A pattern is repeated behavior. So when I say picture an ocean, that picture comes up. I say picture an ocean, that picture, every time I say it, that picture is going to come up. It's a repeated pattern of behavior. Now, do any of you have repeated patterns of behavior? Okay, that got some interest. Yes, we do. And sometimes our patterns of repeated behavior are very lovely. I have a repeated pattern of behavior every morning when I wake up. I go and I feed my cats, and I make my coffee. Now, my coffee making is grinding the beans, washing the pot, steaming and foaming my milk, preparing my and what does that do for me? That helps me get awake and kind of centered and in myself instead of just like this, right? It is a pattern that works very well for me. Now, I have other patterns in my life that don't work quite so well for me, as many of you do. So how do we get rid of these patterns? Because these patterns lead to predicaments.
Yes, that's right.
When I have these patterns, I'm constantly getting in these predicaments where I'm stressed out and I'm angry and I'm upset and I'm miserable. So how do I disrupt those predicaments that occur? I have to get rid of those old mental images, those old pictures, which really are pictures of limiting beliefs, so that the patterns can be disrupted, right? The pictures become the programs that create the predicaments. Are you with me so far?
Yes.
Okay. Old pictures represent old paradigm. How many of you are ready to leave your old paradigms of thinking? The old. We're ready for something new. Thank you for those hands raised back there. So new pictures represent the new life that you want.
Yeah.
Yes? All right. I think they're primed and ready for you.
Cool. Aristotle said the soul never thinks without a picture. The soul never thinks without a picture. So what happens is these old pictures that we have been carrying around with us for years. How many have those old photo albums, that of old pictures? Maybe some are black and white even, with ancient pictures.
Nobody here has black and white photos. We're not that old.
Not us. Your grandparents.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes,
So,
we are.
But what happens is that we all have what is called an aura, an auric field, an energy field that surrounds the body. How do I know that you have it? Well, because if you don't have it, you can no longer be here, because it is part of your spiritual essence. And so these pictures get caught and stuck on the perimeter of our field. And they are there, surrounding the body. And these pictures, after a while, they coalesce together. They become like a collage. You've ever seen a collage? You know what I'm talking about? And they become your core beliefs. These pictures become your core beliefs about money, about sex, about power, about control, about the way things ought to be. You ever hear somebody, this is the way things ought to be, ought to be this way, because they have a picture. In their field of awareness, they have pictures that say, this is how it's supposed to be. And they become the hot buttons that Leah was talking about earlier. And the triggers. Anybody here remember watching Roy Rogers with his horse trigger? Yeah, he had a trigger. And so these triggers, they're these little collages that we have in our energy field, and they're there. They're really there. If you look at somebody and you learn how to see that field or feel it, okay, you can feel it sometimes. You can feel oppressiveness in somebody's field of energy. You can feel their perfectionism. You can feel their sense of, I have to be in control. You can feel their sense of, it's got to be this way, You can sense it. You can feel it. It's there because they have these pictures inside of them that they're constantly looking at and reinforcing every single day. It's become a pattern, right? And so these pictures are the filter of our belief biases. It's the way we look at the world. It's through the filter of these pictures that we have inside. And these pictures actually become your reputation. You want to know what your reputation is? Think about what it is that you look at on the inside on a regular basis. What are you looking at? Okay? And people tend to see who you've been, those outdated pictures, because if you've always been a certain way, that's how people look at you, rather than who you are in the moment. See, I don't care about your past. I don't care about who you were. Who are you now? And if you can let people show up as who they are now, you will discover a grace and a beauty and a love and a compassion and appreciation. So I no longer want to see you with those old, outdated photo albums. Those black and white pictures of I want to see you now in your full color, who you are now. Awake, alert, alive, present. Here, I'm showing up. Say it with me. I suited up. And I showed up today. I may be sleepy, but it's going to have to be okay. So people are unable to see beliefs, their own beliefs that are not true because of their pictures and their biases and their beliefs. It's very difficult for you to acknowledge that you have an old picture that's outdated, that's no longer reality. Right? Take a breath, say, oh, why did you have to go there? Let's affirm this together. My beliefs are no more right than anybody else. Because most people are living in the past. Because that's what they're looking at. They study it, they affirm it, they repeat it, they think it, they feel it. That's where they're living. How many understand that that's not the highest and best always, right? So there's some questions that we need to ask ourselves. Number one is, are my beliefs... Well, actually, this is not a good question. Are my beliefs right? That's not a good question to ask. Okay? Because what that does is it gets you into right and wrongville. Have you ever been there? Rightville, wrongville. It's got to be right. Somebody's got to be right. Somebody's got to be wrong. If you live in rightville and wrongville, you live in duality. And if you live in duality, you are double-minded and you are unstable. Say it with me. Really? Really? But rather, here's the question you want to ask yourself. Is this belief that I have useful? Is it working for me? Am I happier because of this belief? Am I healthier because of this belief? Am I a better person because of this belief? Right? See, some people just accept what they have been taught as reality. How many know that you don't have to do that? You need to give yourself permission to examine all of your beliefs one at a time and decide, is this useful or is it not? I have a long line of trash cans behind me where I've discovered that many, most, maybe all of the beliefs, maybe, that I've had from the past no longer serve me now. Right? How many know that you're a higher, better, more glorious version of you today than you've ever been if you will allow it? If you will allow it. Or you can stay stuck in the past, just looking at the world through your pictures. Now, one of the ways you can tell that you've got a lot of pictures that aren't working for you is you get aggravated and frustrated a lot. Okay? Whenever you get agitated or frustrated, you want to ask yourself some questions. Here's number one. You ready? What belief has just been challenged that I have? What belief that I have has just been challenged? When I'm aggravated, when I'm frustrated, it's because something in me has been challenged. And I don't like it. Right? So that's the first question you ask. Number two, when you figure out what it is, you say, okay, is this belief useful? Is it helpful in my life now? Do I want to continue to affirm this belief? Or maybe this is something that's been tripping me up for a long, long time. Right? Number three, is it helpful to me or to some others? Is it helpful? is, does it help anybody? Right? Does it really help anybody? That's what you need to ask yourself. And this one's important. Does it make you happy? What is that song you know, Sheryl Crow song? Yeah, yeah. Hey,
Makes you happy.
that's right. Then why are you so sad? Why are you so mad? Why are you so upset? You know, but I guess if it makes you happy, go ahead, right? But what is it that makes you happy? And then you ask yourself the $1 million question. You ready? Can I do without this belief? Can I do without it? Can I live without this belief? And then you think about, well, who would I be without this belief?
So are you beginning to see how these pictures and beliefs affect you? They color your perception of things, don't they? Your beliefs will color your perception about things. It's hard to accept information that contradicts your pictures. When you have a picture of things being a certain way and someone's trying to convince you otherwise, hey, I have this picture. You can't tell me any differently. It's really hard to contradict those pictures. And your collage of pictures, making up your core beliefs, definitely affects your life. And as James said, if you want to know what those core beliefs are, remember that the world and the people out there are reflecting back to you your core beliefs. They're reflecting back to you what it is. You know, when something happens, if someone points out something to me and says, are you aware that you do X, Y, Z? If I immediately go to, well, no, I don't, but you do X, Y, Z, I have cut off the opportunity to look at that and either go in myself, okay, I have examined that, and I'm not sure that I'm really doing that that's a part of who I am, or, okay, this is being reflected back to me, and not only here, but I've heard this a couple of times, or I've seen something that's reflecting this back to me a couple of times. Maybe I need to look at this. Maybe there's something in here that I need to own and then change, right? It's always that knock at our inner door to say, hey, here's something you might want to look at that'll make your life better if you can get rid of this belief, if you can get rid of this. So how do I reconcile these perceptions and beliefs, these pictures and these patterns that I've created? Well, the first thing we need to do is we need to develop new pictures, right? We need to go through that photo album and pull out the pictures that are no longer of any good and replace them with some new pictures that are more neutral and pictures that coalesce and match each other. If I want to be happy, if I want to have joy in my life, then I go through those picture albums and I look at the things that are not causing me, not giving me, not bringing, not erupting within me joy, and I pull those out and let's replace it with something else. If our perception about things doesn't match our belief, we tend to get in a place where we reject, we ignore, or we just cast off anything new that's presented to us. We don't want our perceptions and pictures to get in the way of new information, something that may be really beneficial to us. So our old pictures, we might say, keep us from learning, right? Because that new information can't get in. If I have a mindset about something, how am I going to let new information in if I'm consistently going to, yeah, but, right? So early on, we learned by creating visual images of people doing and saying things. As children, we mimicked. We created these pictures of, oh, here's how we do this thing. Here's how we act in these situations. And it takes hold in our consciousness, and we grow up with that. How many can say that at some point in your life you have repeated the patterns and the pictures of your parents? And how many have made that really asinine declaration, I will never be like my parents? Right? Right? But that's what we were fed. That was the picture that we were given. That was the input, and that's what we took on and developed. And it takes hold in our consciousness, and that's what we play out. So many of these pictures have a really big emotional charge. Ooh, yeah. They almost become like an energy bomb being set off inside of us. We talk about those triggers when they get pushed and we just blow up. And we wonder, why did that cause me to get so upset? It's the old pictures, the old paradigm. But we can lessen that energetic charge through what we talked about last week, which was conscious breathing to clear those pictures out. And you know, that ability to learn new information gives those pictures less charge. So I have a very clear picture of an incident in my childhood in an alcoholic home that caused me great pain for so long. And every time I would see that scene, it would elicit all of this stuff. So what I did was, well, you know, the past only exists in your mind anyway, because if somebody else was there to report what had happened, they may have a completely different story. That past experience only lives in my emotional and energetic field as the way that I remember it or the way that I have determined that it was. So if that's the case, then can't I just go back and change the way that I perceived that happened? Sure I can. So by going back and looking at that situation and going, oh, well, instead of you being here and experiencing this, let's put you over here. And your back was turned and you didn't see any of it. You were never privy to any of it. So now I have done that enough that now my picture of that, if I think about that circumstance, it's like, well, what really did happen? Right? Because I'm replacing that old picture with something new, something that will serve my energetic being better. Right? So partial understanding of something means that you don't have the whole picture yet. And when James said there's a string of trash cans behind me where I've gotten rid of old beliefs, guess what? There's a string of trash cans in front of me where as I progress forward, I'm going to keep discarding things. Because when someone says, what do you believe about such and such, I'm always very careful to say, well, right now, today, I believe this. But ask me again next week, next month, next year, and it may be different. Because we're constantly refining and changing those pictures and changing out those patterns, right? When we have those aha moments, has anyone had an aha moment yet this morning?
Aha.
Those aha moments consolidate all the little pictures into big pictures so that you can see clearly. It takes all those little nagging pictures. Oh, that's how that affects it. And this is how that connects with it. And that, I get it.
Aha.
Aha. Those big aha moments helps consolidate all that.
That's
I hope
right.
you get an aha moment this morning.
Yeah. In the Bible it says that we look through a glass darkly, not perceiving our true selves. Right? So, we want to clear some things up, don't we? We want to take some spiritual Windex, spray it all over the mirror, clean it up. How many clean your house once a year, whether it needs it or not, and you let it go for the rest of the year? Right? Is that working for anybody? Right? It doesn't work, does it? How about dishes? You know, you keep using that same plate for breakfast, for lunch, for dinner. Anybody here? Unless you can, but you have to what? Wash it, sterilize it a little bit first. Then you can use it. See, this is what we're talking about. We have to learn how to bring a cleaning into our energy field, to clean it up. Because there's more of you that's invisible than there is that is visible. It's just like an iceberg. You know, when they were on the Titanic, they said, well, look, there's this iceberg. We'll just go around it. All right? Oh, wait a minute. What about all that stuff underneath? Right? So, once we realize that I'm going to have to clean my energy field, just like I wash my face, just like I wash my hands, just like I take a shower, you know. Everybody say thank you, right? So it's important that we continually clean up on the inside. So why do we even have beliefs? Why do we create beliefs? You ever wonder about that? Well, beliefs are important because they're the foundational structure and framework for learning and for future learning. Your beliefs will give you an instant response so you don't have to think about things. You just, oh, I've done this before. I choose not to eat that because of an allergy. No, thank you, right? Or whatever it is. And they're helpful because they're quick, okay? And because sometimes quick action is needed. You have to respond quickly, right? It's like you're driving down the road and suddenly somebody darts in front of you. You have to step on the brake, right? So beliefs or positive pictures are the same thing. Your beliefs and pictures are the same thing. Are you getting that this morning? Beliefs and pictures are basically the same idea. But positive pictures provide you with more stability and continuity and opens you up to unlimited potentials. If you're having a hard time seeing your potential, it's because you are still watching those old movies. You're still watching those old films, and you're still being programmed by them, and they're leading you into the same predicaments over and over and over and over. Yeah. Make sense? So that's why we have beliefs, because they help us to be able to respond to life. And they help us to walk through this ever-changing world, because it's changing, isn't it? It's changing all the time. We have to adjust constantly, don't we? And they support our creativity, because it's through your creativity that you can figure ways to work around it. How many have some workarounds in your life? You know what I'm talking about? You work around things. And somebody, they start talking about something really negative and bad. Say, oh, yeah, I hear what you're saying. Hey, did you watch the football game the other night? Wasn't that a great game? Oh, you don't like football? Oh, that's all right. How come you don't like football? But you change the subject, you say. You understand what I'm saying? Because I've figured out that there's only a certain amount of energy that I want to spend on negative stuff. Yeah. I don't want to spend a lot of time talking about how bad, blah, 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 You get tired of that, don't you? I get tired of it. People saying, well, why, why, high whiny voice, so, okay. Yeah. So, there are inherent dangers of beliefs or negative pictures. When they are static and outdated, the pictures, the old versions of the world, how many know that the old pictures of the world are no longer true? When you see a film and it's about an atomic bomb blowing up, or you see a film and of when you were a child, maybe a video of yourself. And I used to get caught up in the sentimentality of everything. Anybody here ever do that? Sentimental, aww. And then, and just, I wish I could go back. And, I wish I could go back to high school where things were so easy. Well, it wasn't. But in my mind, I create this fantasy that, it was really great. Isn't that what we do? We take the past and we fluff it, we buff it, and we paint it up and we make it look better than what it really was. But I don't want to live in the past anymore. Right? I'm tired of watching that same old movie. It's boring. It's boring. And it's misleading because it's not what I want now. But they feel true because I'm still seeing it in my mind. Still seeing it in my mind. Because of what? The emotional attachment that I have to it. Oh, that's the key, isn't it? It's that connection to that picture, which is the emotional attachment. You ever talk to somebody and they have some really tough, hard beliefs? You can feel it. It just radiates out of them. Just, this is the way it is. That's held there by their emotion, by their strong emotion about the belief. See? And so, how many know that your opinion can be inaccurate? Yeah. Let's say it together. My opinion can be inaccurate. That was hard for you to say, wasn't it? We need a support group. It's like an opinion AA group. We get together and talk about how my opinion doesn't really matter that much. Right? In this sense. Prejudices can be unfair biases based on judgments that were made in the past. How many know that racism starts by somebody making a judgment, and then they pass that judgment on, and then people pick up on it, and they just reaffirm it and take it with them, right? And that's how they see and view the world, in that way. And racism can be about a lot of different things, And so, prejudice is people who are prejudiced are still living in the past in some way, shape, or form. Make sense? Hey, we're learning a lot here this morning, aren't we? Are we learning something? Are you willing to learn something new? And not just learn it, but apply it to your life. Because here's what will happen. As soon as you walk out that door, the old movies will start playing again. And here we go. Here we go. Back into, Scarlett O'Hara. Superstitions. Superstitions are unrelated pictures that are rigid, stubborn, and dogmatic. They're not based in logic. Right? There's no foundation for a superstitious belief. It's like I had a relative who believed that black cats crossing their path would give them bad luck, or walking under a ladder. So whenever he would be driving his truck, and there was a black cat, he would stop immediately and he would drive around the block because he had this picture in his mind, this feeling that the black cat was cursing him. And how many know what the black cat was doing? He was trying to get out of the way. That's all the cat was doing, just trying to get out of the way of that big truck. How many know that people who think they know everything are really annoying to people who do? Right? Isn't it true? Yeah. So how many feel annoyed this morning? So the next time you're annoyed, just think about it. But the bottom line is these rigid pictures will keep you from learning and integrating new information. See, we can stand up here and we can teach new things to you, but you're not going to get it unless you're willing to let go of your old paradigm. Right? Right? It's like when I was a kid, somebody told me that my artwork wasn't very good. I know. What am I going to do? Oh, anyway, so I started to think that, I'm just not a good artist. I can't do that. And to this day, I still have this picture. That I'm not a good artist. Well, see, it may be true, but somebody says, I want to learn something new. I want to learn to sing. I want to learn to play an instrument. I want to learn something new on the computer. But the old pictures keep you stuck. You can't. You can't learn anything new because of those old pictures, those old beliefs that are being held with fear and insecurity, right? And then we tend to attract more experiences that validate those pictures. That's why we think they're true. Because we attract people into our lives. Oh, I knew it. They're all bad. They're all evil. That's called negative synchronicity. How many know there's positive synchronicity? There's negative synchronicity. Positive synchronicity is when one thing leads to another and you're being confirmed and you're affirming and you're in the flow. Negative synchronicity is just like one darn thing after the other. All right? Change your beliefs by changing the pictures that you're looking at. And see a better world and you'll attract better conditions. So through breathing, grounding, and visualizing what you want rather than what you don't want, it's life-changing. Are you with me? Absolutely. Let's take a breath.
You can relax now. Come on and open your heart. Breathe deeply now. I am with you. Oh, my sweet, sweet child. Who do you think you are? You are a child of God, and that will never change. You had a dream. You misunderstood. You thought you were separate, but now you hear my voice and you can relax now. Come on and open your heart. Breathe deeply now. I am with you. You are the love of my life. You are my one creation. You are eternity, and that will never change. You had a dream. thought you were separate, but now you hear my voice and you can relax now. Come on and open your heart. Breathe deeply now. I am with you. You are the love of my life. You are my one creation. You are eternity, and that will never change.
So this morning, as we've contemplated this message, we realize that there are many things, many pictures, many situations that have led to our programming where we have agreed to something. At some level, we've agreed to think and believe and feel a certain way. And it's led to all kinds of predicaments in our lives. But maybe, just maybe, you're ready to let it go. Clean up those old pictures. Let go of the woulda, shoulda, couldas of the past. And begin to visualize the life that you want right now. To begin to see it in your spirit, see it in your heart, see it surrounding you in your field of awareness, your energy. Are you ready this morning? Are you ready to learn something new? To begin to see the possibilities and allow them to unfold in your life in greater ways. I want you to take a moment now to imagine an old house. The old house needs a coat of paint, mailboxes falling over, the shutters are no longer covering the windows. They're just hanging there. There's vines and grass growing up all around. No one's been taking care of this house. But you think to yourself, well, maybe there's something I can do. And so you walk into the house and you start looking around the living room and you see that there's all kinds of pictures on the wall, collages of the past, the distant past, maybe even the past called yesterday. And so you walk around the room and you think to yourself, you know, this house needs to be refreshed. It needs to be updated. And so you start taking down those old pictures that are on the wall. There's that picture of low self-esteem. I'm not good enough. I can't do it. And you take that picture down. And then you walk over, there's another picture there. That time that you were bullied by someone. And you realize that you're no longer being bullied. Not now. So you take that picture down. It no longer serves me. And you keep going through the room and you start taking down those old pictures that represent your fears, your insecurities, your doubts. that represent an old time, an old life that no longer serves you or supports you. And so we take those pictures and we put them in a box. And we forget where we put them. And then we think to ourselves, now, what kind of new pictures do I want to put up in this house? And then you come up with some new ideas. Maybe you see yourself playing the guitar. Maybe you see yourself painting. Maybe you see yourself teaching others. Maybe you see yourself holding hands with a person who loves and respects and cares for you. What is it that you would like to see? You're the artist now. You're the creator, the co-creator with God. And so you begin to do a house makeover. And you walk through the house and then you pick out colors of what you want. Maybe you want some brighter colors. Those dingy, dull colors, they're old, they're faded. They no longer serve. You want to brighten things up. You want to open up the windows, pull back the curtains, and shake the dust. You start sweeping up and cleaning up and refreshing each room of the house. And things begin to feel better, lighter. A brand new you. And after a while, yes, it takes some time. It's simple, but it's not always easy. There's some work. Just keep doing the work. Keep taking out those old pictures and hang some new ones. Create some new ones. New images. Seeing yourself differently. In a more neutral way. Rather than automatically saying, I can't do this, I can't do that. You just say, well, let's see what I can do. Let's see what I can do. Maybe I can. Maybe I can. And then so as you continue working on your house, you'll make it the way you want it. And then after a while, you'll have a house that you can live in, that you can breathe, that you're excited to live in. And the house is you. You are that house. Let's take a breath together. So we give thanks for the ability to learn and to grow and to become. We are so grateful. And so now, if you know of someone that you would like to hold in this moment, maybe you know somebody who's holding themselves in a negative way. They're seeing their limitation. They're not seeing their potential. I invite you to bring them into this moment. Surround them with your prayers, with your love. We affirm the highest good for all. We affirm the very best. We all deserve the best that we have to offer each other. We're all children of God. You can relax now. You can open your heart. You can receive. It's okay. It's okay to be who you came to be. Let's take a breath together. And for just a moment, I'll leave you in the silence. For just a moment. Thank you for taking a moment to just be and just breathe. Feels good. So in the name of the Christ, all that is sacred, holy, and good, we give thanks now. Thank you, God, and so it is, and so be it. All right, allow yourself to bring your attention back into the room, stretching, letting your back relax, feeling good, feeling alert.